Hello Bloomington, I'm Mayor Tim Busse, and this is the Council Minute for the first week of March. Hyland Greens Golf and Learning Center has been owned and operated by the City of Bloomington since 1974. If you aren't a golfer or you haven't played at Hyland Greens, it's a 9-hole, par 30 golf course and has an all-grass driving range. Hyland Greens also has bunker, putting, and short game practice areas, so players of all ages and abilities can have a great golf experience. The problem at Hyland Greens, however, has been that it has operated at a pretty significant financial loss for more than a decade. Last year, we made the decision to not open Hyland Greens due to budgetary pressures driven primarily by the coronavirus pandemic. The citywide budget crisis that arose as a result of COVID-19, in addition to capital investment needed at both Hyland Greens and at Dawn golf courses, has led staff to think creatively about how to continue delivering services and providing amenities to residents in the most cost-efficient manner possible. Last October, Parks and Rec staff met with Three Rivers Park District leadership to explore potential programming and operating partnerships at Hyland Greens Golf Course. Those conversations were very productive, resulting this week in a term sheet between the city and Three Rivers Park District to have the district be the operator of Hyland Greens for the next 4 years. Representatives from both agencies acknowledge Three Rivers' expertise with golf operations, and their instructional programming is outstanding. Three Rivers currently owns and operates Baker National Golf Course, Cleary Lake Golf Course, and Eagle Lake Golf Center. They also operate Glen Lake Golf and Practice Center and Parkers Lake Golf through a cooperative agreement with Hennepin County. City staff will immediately work with Three Rivers Park District to transfer all operations of Hyland Greens to ensure a successful opening of the golf course as soon as the weather allows this spring. Back in November, Bloomington voters approved a ballot question to amend the city charter and adopt ranked choice voting as the method for electing the mayor and the members of the city council. To carry out this decision from the voters, the council will need to adopt an ordinance providing for how ranked choice voting will be conducted in the city of Bloomington. This week, the council had an initial discussion of the ordinance to give staff direction for drafting the final ordinance for public consideration. The final ordinance is scheduled for a public hearing on Monday, March 22nd. The draft ordinance we discussed was developed following a review of similar ordinances in other Minnesota cities that have adopted ranked choice voting. The most notable policy issue for the council to decide is the number of candidates that a voter may rank for each office. The discussion this past Monday suggested a consensus by the council that up to 6 people is the right number. Rarely have we had that many candidates for a single seat in the past, so it seems like that will ensure consideration for candidates in most elections. Once the ordinance defining the process for ranked choice voting is adopted, staff will be very active doing outreach and voter education to make sure that you understand how to use ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting will be used for the first time this November for the election of city offices. Now, school board members are also on the ballot this fall, but that election will be done by the traditional voting method. The council received a presentation from our budget manager this week laying out the schedule for our 2022 budget review process. I know what you're thinking. 2022? We just started 2021. Well, our staff starts working on the budget in March of each year. With an $80 million general fund and total budgets for city operations and capital that approach $200 million, there's a lot of work to do every year analyzing our operations, evaluating current economic conditions, and forecasting into the future. You'll recall that our budget process last year was dramatically different than any other year before it. Because of the work done by the Community Budget Advisory Committee, we had more public input, more public discussions, more budget details, and more community engagement and participation in the budgeting process than ever before. This coming year is likely to be less stressful as the economy begins to rebound, but that doesn't mean the work of reviewing any of our budgets is any less rigorous. One of the important issues the council decides each year is whether an increase in property taxes is necessary and how much that increase is going to be. When we adopted the 2021 budget back in December, we also looked at a preliminary budget for 2022. That preliminary budget currently assumes a 0% tax levy increase. In other words, we are currently assuming that we will not need to increase the city's tax levy for our operations in 2022. Now, things may change, which is why we spend months discussing priorities in this community and looking at our options and forecasting into the future. But here's what you can expect this year when it comes to our budget process. There will be numerous opportunities to provide input into the budget. The increased transparency and engagement in last year's budget process will be part of this year's process as well. and we are hopeful that some of those engagement opportunities will actually be in person later this year when the Minnesota Department of Health says it's safe to resume those types of meetings. So keep your eyes open this summer and fall for more information about the budget and how you can make sure your voice is heard in that process. That's a wrap on this week's Council Minute. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, stay safe, Bloomington.